Inspiration, clarity, confidence, and wholehearted business strategy. Welcome to Your Next Chapter, the podcast especially for women in their 40s and beyond who know that business and personal development go hand in hand. Tune in each week for marketing, mindset, and personal growth strategies, along with inspiring stories from women around the world who are creating new businesses and lives that are personally fulfilling and financially rewarding. If you're looking to create a business and life you love, you're in great company. Let's find out what will unfold in your next chapter. I'm your host, Angela Raspis, and I'm so delighted that you're here. Hi there, it's Angela Raspis, and welcome to another episode in Your Next Chapter podcast. This week, we're having a great conversation with Kellie O'Brien, who specializes in Soulful Client Pathways. And you're really going to enjoy, I am absolutely sure, the information and the insights that we'll be sharing with you today. Now, Kellie is an author, she's a speaker, and she's a blogger who specializes in social media and online marketing. Now, what Kellie's all about is empowering female entrepreneurs like you to use storytelling and systems to build what she calls soulful client pathways. And those pathways are intended to move your most aligned clients from when they first discover you right through to the point in which they want to invest with you, because you've really built up that know, like, and trust factor. Now, Kellie's had 16 years as a journalist and 5 years of owning her own PR consultancy business. She's also a published author and a blogger, and she lives and breathes story and strategy. There's so much insight in this episode today. I really recommend that you grab yourself a pen and paper before you listen, and you should absolutely not miss the download, the free resource that comes along with this episode, which actually takes you through each step that's involved in creating that soulful client pathway for your own business. Now, to get your hands on that download, you simply go to angelaraspis.com/9 and the word download. So that's angelaraspis.com/9 download. And that's the Soulful Client Pathway map, which takes you through each one of the steps, right from that discovery to how to create an opt-in or a free gift or a lead magnet, those things, different names that we give that particular piece for our business. But from there, amazing little things that you may not have considered. What you can do with your thank you page that makes all the difference when you're actually looking at creating these pathways for your new clients. And then the all-important follow-up in the email sequence that actually builds the story, adds enormous value to your clients, and also allows them to really get to know you and resonate with you, so that trust factor goes really, really high. Now, Kellie herself is also in her next chapter, as she may have picked up from that quick bio that I shared with you. This Soulful Client Pathway business that she is running now is not her first chapter. She has so much experience behind the scenes, which actually gives her great depth and great knowledge that she's sharing with us today. But look, I could waffle on for hours. It's much more important that we get into this interview so that you can get the goodness that you can go and put into inspired action right away in your own business. And just a little PS here as well. If you're enjoying the Your Next Chapter podcast, I would really appreciate you taking just a few minutes to pop a review on iTunes. You can find the link to do that right on my website under the podcast drop-down. That helps other people find this podcast as well. It makes it much more visible in iTunes, so I'd really appreciate you taking that time. So let's dive in, shall we, and hear all about Soulful Client Pathways with the lovely Kellie O'Brien. Thanks again for your attention and energy that you are putting into listening to the Your Next Chapter podcast. Well, hello there, Kellie. Thank you so much for finding time to spend with us this morning, talking all about this amazing subject that every entrepreneur needs to wrap their head and their heart around. And I love the name of Soulful Client Pathway. So thanks for spending time with us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Angela. I'm very, very excited to talk about this one.
Oh, it's such a good topic, isn't it? It really is something that we need to understand the value of creating these pathways in our business, not just when we are launching some big product, but to actually introduce people to our community and our email list on an ongoing basis. So I'm really pleased that we can tap into your expertise today, because I know it's going to be such an important lesson for everyone to learn.
Oh, look, lots and lots to share today, so looking forward to it.
Fabulous. Well, I love to start these conversations, Kellie, with finding out, is this particular business that you are running now, is it a next chapter for you? How did you come to be doing what you're doing?
I think this is third chapter, possibly. I'm not sure where I'm up to in my chapters in my book, but it's a fair way in. I think this is yeah, probably maybe my third, but I actually started out as a newspaper journalist, which I did for 16 years. And I actually had a column about being pregnant and the first year of my daughter's life and all the weird and strange, wonderful things that happened to you during that time. So when I fell pregnant the second time with my second daughter, the column didn't exist anymore in the newspaper. So I actually started a mum blog, having absolutely no idea what a blog was. I just went for it and learnt, hit the ground running pretty much. And I went through a blogging challenge in the beginning of that where one of the tasks was to share what you know. So I was sharing, how these bloggers could actually get some media coverage for their blog. Now, this then led to someone asking me to help do their PR, and I had to be really nice to this lady and say, look, that's lovely that you've asked me, but I don't do PR, it's not my thing. And she just kept asking. She was a very persistent lady. So in the end, I said, sure, just this once. And of course, that lady then went and told everybody else about what I'd just done for her. So I moved into a PR agency business, and that was my first business, and I guess my first chapter in the business world. And then I guess I'll get into it a little bit more as we talk, but then I moved into a client pathway and social media coaching and helping people move their most aligned clients from discovery to investment. So I'm now in my second business chapter right now.
I love that story of she kept pestering me, and I had to eventually say yes. When I hear things like that, it makes me think about how often we don't necessarily have awareness of the talents and the skills that we've got. With you having that significant background in PR and in journalism, it was a natural step for people to anticipate that you'd be able to help them with their PR. And I've got no doubts you're very good at it, but sometimes we resist what we're great at because it comes sometimes too easily to us, would you say?
That's right, and that's exactly the whole point. I think what does come easily, and I guess that's really how the client pathways happened, that I stood up at a mastermind and was trying to explain how client pathways worked to some of the women in the room. It wasn't my mastermind, I was part of the audience. And it was just coming so easily to me, and I was getting incredibly excited, and everyone's asking, why don't you do this? If you really don't have a passion for PR, why aren't you doing client pathways? And that was the light being switched on for me. So for me, a lot of my pathways in my next chapter businesses have been other people identifying where my genius zones are and opening the door for me. So I'm not very good at identifying them myself, it seems.
It's funny, that's a conversation that I've had with so many people and with myself, is that it's sometimes extremely difficult for us to see the spot that we're standing on, and we can help other people in our zone of genius, but turning the spotlight on ourselves, that's a bit tricky. So it's not surprising sometimes people go, oh my goodness, look at that, you're really good at that, why don't you explore it more? And that's definitely what happened to you. Well, let's get a little bit of a definition going, can we? Because I've got no doubt that a lot of our listeners are aware of what a pathway is, but a lot of them, like me, when I first heard about it, possibly don't. So could you give us the description of what is a client pathway? And in particular, I love how you add the word soulful into it. So can you give us some illumination as to how it works?
Sure. I guess, coming from a blogging background with my mum blog, when I started out in business, I had this strong focus on blogging. And one of the posts that I wrote actually garnered a lot of attention. And it had, within that blog post, it had a free download on it. And so people really, really wanted this. So I was getting lots of attention for this one blog post. And I remember one day lamenting the fact that I didn't have this huge email list. You hear about people with their 10,000 people on their list or 100,000 people, and I think I had 130 people, and I think that had taken me a whole year to get that 130 people at the time. Despite knowing how important an email list was to my business, I just wasn't good at it at all. I had no idea. And then, I guess it was like being slapped over the head with a wet fish, really. I realised I had this free download, and when I looked at the analytics of it, it had 1,000 or over 1,000 people had downloaded this, and I hadn't actually asked one single person for their email address. And that was like a huge wake-up call for me, that I've got 130 people on my list, and I could have had a lot more if I had have actually asked for people's email.
Wow, that would have been one of those real, as you said, the wet fish, the ding moments where, hey, I can make a big difference to my business by making one small change.
That's right, and it was the tiniest of changes that has completely changed my email list, which is obviously, that was quite a few years ago now, but it was a big eye-opener for me, and something that can be, a small thing that can be rectified. And once I actually had fixed that, then it set me on this path of learning about sales funnels, because it's all well and good to have people downloading something, and I know a lot of people do this. They have a free download, they realise the importance of that and of building an email list. But they send people the welcome email, and then their pathway stops there. There's nothing else beyond that. And I knew that it needed to continue. I needed to keep nurturing people. But I got really disheartened by the way the whole, I guess, the internet marketing crowd were teaching sales funnels. It just didn't feel right to me. It was so far from who I was. And so I guess my mission has been to really help female entrepreneurs build pathways that allow them to get discovered through a free gift, which is a download. As I said, that's one example. And then building a relationship with them that feels natural and joyful and sincere, and then moves them seamlessly into working with you. And I guess the key to the soulful client path, the word soulful for me, it's really that relationship building, being true to who you are and who you like, how you like to sell, and also storytelling as well. So of all the people I've coached, no two client pathways have been the same, but it really is about getting their attention and getting discovered, and then moving them through a pathway that then leads them to investing in you.
And I think so that definition makes perfect sense. And just going back there for a moment to what you were saying about the inverted commas, the internet pathway alternative, the internet marketing alternative, that some of us are very resistant to the concept of a funnel because it sounds almost manipulative, like you're going to sort of, push someone down a funnel and then pull them through and make a sale. And it's got those sort of, pushy and icky, there's a highly technical word, icky connotations. And so from what I've seen of your work, and obviously I know you very well after working together for a while now, but that we're taking the ickiness away. We're bringing in the authenticity. We're bringing in that conversation, that communication, that relationship with somebody to help them build that know, like, and trust factor and identify whether or not you are a good fit for them. So it's a lot more, the word that I would use, which is in my vocabulary all the time, is it's far more wholehearted. The approach that you are creating. I know you've touched on the idea of that when people first perhaps come across what you're doing, they're not necessarily ready to invest. And you've got some points that you've brought up about that before. Can you explain what that sort of cycle is?
Sure. So I guess it's about making the right offer to the right people at the right time. And I know we've all heard that before, and it's very true. So people are in different buying stages. They either have and there are lots of different, but if I break it down into three simple ones to make it easy to understand, but they're either aware of the problem that they have, but they're not actively trying to solve it. They know it's there, they'll deal with it one day. Then there's those people who are aware of the problem. They're actually actively out there researching all the options. They're me, pretty much. I have to go and research every single option that's available to me. And then there's those people who are aware of the problem, and they want it solved now. They're ready to buy as soon as they can find the right fit. They're there, so they don't want to stuff around. They want to get straight to the point. And so some people need to be nurtured for longer, and some people need to be offered something straight away. And you have to have that as part of your client pathway, that you can deal with two different types of, or different people in different stages of their buying cycle. And so this means that if you have a blog post, for example, if I've got a blog post on my website and it's using SEO, so people are then researching, they find your blog post that's helping solve a little part of their problem, that can be then tailored to that middle group who are in the research phase, those active searchers. And they're, I know who I'm talking to as I'm going through the remainder of my pathway. These are people who, they're doing their research. What you need to then determine what is it that they need to know to be able to make a purchase with you. What are the gaps, I guess? So the role once, I guess once I determine who this person is and what they most want from me, it's then reverse engineering my client pathway from investing in my service or my product or my program, and going right back through to what is the marketing strategy that's best going to attract them. And really that's where that client pathway starts. It starts with being where your most aligned clients are going to be hanging out, and whether they're researching on in Google or whether they're on social media. And I know it sounds really basic to say that, but it's actually surprising when I talk with people that some are focused on following the latest marketing craze, whatever that happens to be at the moment, without really questioning if that's the best place to get their message in front of the people that most want to hear it.
That is such an important point. That's what I call a watering hole. So identifying where are your most aligned clients, hanging out and getting their information. And I know that especially in the entrepreneurial world, there is literally new marketing options that are popping up every day. I even got sucked into one myself a little while ago. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's the bright, shiny objects syndrome. And the new platform, which was Blab, which I was looking at thinking, this is fantastic, this is awesome, I love this. But I needed to hit the pause button and go, but is this where my people are? If I'm wanting to communicate and to share knowledge and to educate and empower people, are the women that are my most aligned clients actually on Blab? And the answer was no. So even though it might have been a little bit of fun to be playing there, it wasn't necessarily, or definitely wasn't, the watering hole where I could take care of and look after my clients. So it's a really important point that you make there. And, Kellie, there's so many pieces to this pathway, and the wonderful thing is that you have provided us with an amazing resource in this episode. So everyone listening, you need to get your hands on this one. It's a Soulful Client Pathway map that takes you step by step through what we're about to dive into verbally on this particular episode. But to get your copy, if you go to www.angelaraspis.com, then /9 and the word download. So that's angelaraspis.com/9 download for the Soulful Client Pathway map, which Kellie has created, and it is absolutely brilliant. So what I'd love to do now, Kellie, is to really break down the steps in the process. Now, we've talked about that we start a Soulful Client Pathway with what you call an irresistible free gift. Now, how do we know what the heck to offer when it comes to that free gift that we start our pathway with?
Yeah, I guess probably the first thing to say about the free gift is when you do create something, remember that it's not carved in stone. You can change it if it doesn't work. And sometimes it is a bit of an experimentation. But some of the key things to think about as you're putting yours together is that you need to offer something that will help solve a small piece of the larger problem that they're trying to solve, and allows them to actually see if you're the type of person that they want to work with. So it's often good to give them a result within that. And I've seen some people create opt-ins that try to solve the whole big picture, and people get overwhelmed and they never go on to get a result. And of course, then they lose trust in what you can deliver for them. So you do have to have something that can give them a small result, that is a small win that makes them feel good and wanting to continue on the rest of your pathway. So the other thing that they're looking for is, do they have similar values? Is the quality of your work to their standards? And an insider tip is really to ensure that that free gift demonstrates what they need to know, hear, or understand to invest in your services. And I know that's a really hard concept to get your head around, so I've got an example.
Yes,
so for example, if you teach people how to start running, just say that's your business. You're teaching people how to start in the whole running thing. I'm not a runner, so this is, complete newbie zone for me. So you might need to demonstrate to them that there's a gap in their knowledge around the importance of learning to breathe properly. It might be something as simple as that they've never even thought about. Or maybe it's the impact running in a group can have on your success to achieving a marathon. And I know you've talked about marathons on your podcast. And of course, you can help them bridge that gap through your paid offer. So your free gift is really about identifying some of the problems that they've got, or some of the gaps that they've got, and then your paid service helps bridge that for them. Or another example, if you're a relationship coach, let's say you're helping people with relationships, and you need to demonstrate to those people that they can trust you with their innermost secrets, because that's a pretty raw, can be a raw topic, I guess. So your free gift needs to work at building trust. so that they can work with you. They need to know that they're going to be able to tell you stuff and trust you with their innermost secrets. So if you get that bit right, the pathway to them wanting to work with you is much more easeful.
That's a great way of giving that example and seeing how that connection works, because that trust factor and that feeling that I am aligned with you, I'm resonating with your approach and the way that you're looking at the world, that's where the trust definitely gets built up. And I know I've with experimenting with opt-ins or lead magnets or free gifts, they're called lots of different things, a taste test, that I've sometimes erred on the side of give them the whole farm, let's be hugely generous. And I will still continue to have generosity as one of the hallmarks of the work that I do. But what I've come to recognize with your assistance and guidance is that don't give someone a fire hose and wash them out of the room when just a nice cool glass of water would actually be just what they need right now. So it's that, I guess it's the don't take people to the buffet, let them enjoy the appetizer. So really understanding what is that problem or that pain or that aspiration they have, and then giving them that tangible win of how to solve one small piece of it, and then letting them know that there's more to come. So yeah, that makes sense to me. So okay, so let's say that we have researched and we've decided this is the gift that we're going to offer, the particular download. It could be an audio, it could be an ebook, it could be many different things, but they're having that experience. Now, to get access to that, we use a landing page. Now, a lot of people understand again what a landing page is, but let's just go back to basics here for a moment so there's no confusion. What is a landing page and why is it important in the pathway?
I guess the landing page is a page that has no distractions on it. It is a clean page with nothing else that's going to take their attention away, and that the sole purpose of the landing page or the lead page or whatever you want to call it is purely to get their email address so that they can get on your list. It's to sell the benefits of them actually downloading your free gift or whatever the free gift is, getting the free gift, and then getting their email address so that they're on your email list. And I guess there's lots of things to consider when you're creating a landing page, but one of the biggest things is really having no distractions. So your home page isn't a landing page because there's too many things to distract them there. There's your menu, there's the promo you're running at the moment, there's things in your sidebar. That's not a landing page. So you've got to make it uncluttered. A blank page with a benefit-driven headline, a description so that they understand what they're going to be getting, a place for them to put their name and their email address, and an image that tells a story of what you're trying to project, and that's as simple as it needs to be. And if you ever suffer from low opt-in rate for your free gift, sometimes it's not the gift itself, but what you have on that page that shows why your free gift is so irresistible and your ideal client needs to sign up to get it now. So really work at getting that page, even though it sounds really simple and there are only a couple of things on that page and it should be easy. That's the page you need to work on to get the conversions.
That's a great point, that idea of that if something isn't working, it's not necessarily that the gift itself doesn't have value, it's the communication of the value of that gift. That could be the broken link in the chain, so to speak. So most of us that are working on WordPress or on other basic platforms would be able to utilize a page that has no navigation on it. We can select that from our templates, from our choices. But there's also great tools like lead pages. So I'll put a note or a link in the show notes for this particular episode so people can have a look at that. I'm a user of lead pages. I'm pretty sure you are too, Kellie?
Yes, I love lead pages. I also have Landing Page Monkey, I think it's called. Now I've had a mental blank, isn't that bad? Which I haven't used a lot of, but that's another one as well. But there are quite a lot out there, and it just depends on what other systems you're using. But Lead Pages works with everything, and I think one of the beauty of Lead Pages is that it can take 5 minutes to get your page up, which is so nice when you're trying to build out this system, if it can be super simple for you. And it has analytics built into it, so you don't need to figure out what is my conversion rate. It will do all the thinking for you.
That sounds like a relief. And yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that appeals to me about it. So for everyone listening, it's what's called a plug-in. So it's a little piece of software that you purchase and then it becomes a part of your website and it's very easy to use. I love it. And I'm actually using it at the moment for my opt-ins as well. So we'll put a link to that. Okay, so we've got our gift. We've created our landing page. And now from there, you've mentioned often that the thank you page is often a bit of an afterthought. It really deserves more attention because it has in itself an important role to play in the pathway. Now, can you explain why isn't just saying thanks enough? I mean, I'm grateful. Thank you for downloading this. What else needs to happen on that thank you page?
Well, look, I used to just say thank you and leave it at that as well. But, you know, what else should I do, really? But I've realised that the true power of that page, I've realised the true power of that page because the thing is that everybody who signs up for your free gift is going to land on that page. So it doesn't make sense not to leverage it. And if you know me, you know that everything is about leverage. If you're going to do something, you may as well leverage it. So there are endless possibilities of what you can do on this page, and it really is only limited to your imagination. But I guess some of the things I've used or that I've had clients use that have worked really well are encouraging them to sign up to your Facebook group. And this is really how my Facebook group has been built, not by doing anything else, not by putting money into it. It's all purely from the thank you page. Also, asking them to share with sharing buttons. And the beauty, again, of lead pages is that the thank you pages are also in there, and they've got a page that has sharing buttons on there that are easy for you to be able to upload or create and enable you to become viral, possibly. You never know. You never know when you might become viral. If you create a lead magnet that people love so much that they're going to share with the world. And or sometimes it takes that, that person at the party who everybody gravitates to and they know everybody and, every time they say something, everybody listens to what they say. If you get that person to download your free gift and they share it with their network, that's when you can sometimes go viral. Another thing I've tried which worked well as well is getting them to sign up to a live webinar that you're hosting. So it's a way to build up an audience for your live webinar without having to actually invest additional money into Facebook ads. So lots and lots of things you can do, but there's just 3 ideas to get you started.
That is great. And yeah, that idea that lead pages offers those thank you pages. So this isn't another thing that you've got to go through a lot of pain to create. It's just a bit of a pushing of a button and a little bit of customizing and off you go. Again, a 5-minute job it can be. But that just lifts that value of that thank you page. So that's a great idea. I've written them down. I hope everyone else is taking notes as well. Okay, so now I've got your free gift. I've been thanked profusely on your thank you page. What can I expect next? What's the next stage in this pathway of building this relationship with a potential client?
Well, I guess the next bit is really continuing that relationship through email marketing or using autoresponders, which is your email marketing system, sending out emails automatically. And this is really where I love to incorporate the storytelling side of things. So the greatest thing about email marketing is that it can really open doors for you. It can create collaborations and partnerships, which it has done for me. It allows you to do live launches in a bigger way. So if you've built up a list of people on your email list, when you go to do a live launch, these people already know, like, and trust you. So you're going into a live launch with warm traffic as opposed to getting people straight from a Facebook ad, which is cold traffic. So your conversions will be greater. And also it can help create evergreen sales. So you can actually build out a pathway that automatically takes people to buying your stuff. So the whole concept of making money while you sleep, and while it sounds ridiculously cliche, it's actually one of the greatest feelings when you wake up and someone has bought something from you, bought one of your programs. It's a beautiful feeling. But I guess above all, it's one of the greatest ways to keep a regular contact with your most aligned clients, because your email will always land in their inbox, whereas Facebook posts, they're only going to show to a small portion of your fans. Your tweets, well, they're fairly fleeting. And all those other social media platforms that we have, things go very, very quickly. They disappear, whereas your email, it will land in their inbox. And as long as you do, entice them to open the email and read it, then you've got their attention.
And that's actually one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn is when I was first in this idea of building your list, and I'd offer a free gift and I'd say, thank you, and here it is, and now you're on my newsletter list. And there was nothing in between. There was no, and this was a huge change for me when I recognized that from assistance from yourself, is that actually building that story, talking to people about what they've downloaded and how to use it, and then adding some more value with pointing them to a blog post in the next email, or offering them another, almost like the cherry on top of that particular gift. Here's something else that you might find helpful, and just building out. I think there's between 3 to 6 emails that come to my tribe after they have first opted in for a free gift, before they ever go onto the normal newsletter list. And that's not something that I understood until I was working with you. So that really makes a big difference, this idea of building that trust and that education, and bringing people closer to that ready to invest, whether it be in the launch or whatever product or service you are enticing and not so much enticing, it's more that you are assisting people towards it, or almost being like a guide. Come this way, here's the thing that you need at the end of this particular relationship.
That's right. It's solving their problem. It's serving them by solving their problems.
There's the word I was after. Escorting them. I couldn't find the word. I'm escorting them. and offering that guidance along the way.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Very true.
So we're in this relationship then. We've written our autoresponders, which have been set up in our, whether we use MailChimp or Aweber or Infusionsoft or whatever the email marketing system that we're using. So can I just now sit back and relax? It's all done. Oh, there's the gift, there's the thank you page, there's the autoresponders. Is it all over, or is there anything else missing or that I need to be aware of in crafting this pathway?
Well, you could sit back if you really wanted to. But as you know, working with me, Ange, that's not where it ends for me. It's difficult to get people to invest in you for the first time, which is why what we've just discussed, which is called the front-end client pathway, is super important. And I often have something what I call the introductory product, which is a low-level product, a low-priced product, usually somewhere under the $100 mark. In the internet marketing crowd, it's usually about $7, you'll see. But I always pick a price that feels good for me. $7 doesn't feel good for me unless I was doing an ebook. But for me, things like $25, $49 and $97 products are always a good fit. And they can be all sorts of different things, mini courses, a guide that they can have. There's lots and lots of different, a suite of templates. There's lots of ideas that you can use, but just getting them to actually invest in you once. And the whole idea of having something that's low priced is that they don't feel like if it's not right for them that they've lost a lot. It's really, really hard to get someone to invest $3,000 or $10,000 or whatever it happens to be that your high-end priced products are and services. It's really hard to get someone to invest that sort of money with you if they don't really know a lot about you. They've been nurtured through your email sequence, but they're still not really sure whether you're the right fit. And I always think this is a great way for people to see whether or not what you can offer is in alignment with who they are, and giving them the confidence to then want to invest more in you. So once they do invest in you, it's much easier to get them to work with you again and again and again. It's getting that first sale is always the hardest. So a whole new pathway then can be built once they've bought from you once. As you know, with me, they take it then a different journey because they're in a different space within my system. And that's really only once you've worked out the first pathway. And I really say focus on that first pathway because it is the most critical. And to be honest, that first pathway can often prompt organic sales for your higher end products and services, where people have loved reading your emails and consuming your free content, that they pick up the phone and tell you that they want to work with you at a higher level. And that in itself is really a lovely feeling as well. So that first part is the super important part.
Oh, I completely agree with that on many different levels, and in particular, that idea that people going through the buying cycle, consuming your free content, the value that you've been giving to be of service, because you want to be of service, right from the get-go. I've had people contact me that have actually said, I've been following you and doing your stuff, there's another highly technical term, for the last 12 months, and now I'm ready to work with you. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? So you don't necessarily know that there's a pathway that's happening, and people are enjoying the value that you're providing, and then they're making their own decision. They're going through that cycle that you're saying and getting ready to actually invest in you, and that comes from giving that value. But when you're creating these pathways, and when you've perhaps they've tried that first level product, the low risk, as you're saying, I call it the elevate experience, but whatever it is for you, but to actually bring new people into your pathways, that's what you've talked about with the concept of traffic, is that, look, if you're getting a lot of traffic coming to your website anyhow, fantastic, but we often need to recognize the value of investing in paying for traffic to introduce likely aligned people into our pathways. Could you touch on that for us, Kellie?
Yeah, sure. I guess the reality is that people who are there's a couple of different things. I guess people who land on your website, only about 1 to 3% of them are ever going to buy. So what do you do with the other 97% of people? And that's where you need to nurture them. And often people can take 90 days before they'll actually buy from you. There is a statistic out there, which I don't have handy at the moment, but it's something like it can take a certain percentage of people 90 days before they'll invest in someone after discovering who they are. So that's why that nurturing is so important. And I guess as far as, for me, Facebook ads, and I know for you, Ange, as well, using Facebook ads to build your audience, that audience is cold traffic. And so there are different temperatures. People who have already bought from you are hot traffic, because then they're more likely to be able to buy again. People who have been through your email sequence and downloaded your free gift, that's the warm traffic. But the cold traffic you get straight from Facebook. It's really important to not just get them to go to the welcome email and leave them there, but actually keep nurturing them. I'm not quite sure if there's something else you want me to add there, Ange.
Oh, just picking up on the Facebook ad side of things really is that you can have the most amazing pathway, but if you're not bringing traffic to it, then it's not necessarily going to work. And I know that I've got a bit jack of Facebook at some stages and getting, cranky about how little my posts are actually seen on my page, etc. But having to recognise and go through the acceptance that Facebook isn't a charity, it's a business.
Yeah,
and so
that's right.
I would never expect to be able to go and put an ad in the Sydney Morning Herald for free and expect, half of their readers might see it. So it actually does make sense that I need to pay for Facebook advertising as being one of the traffic generators into my own client pathway. So I guess I was mainly bringing that concept up, that we need to invest in these, and really, I guess, to look at the fact that if longer term, if we're nurturing people through our communities until they get to a point when they want to invest in us, and whatever that price point may be for your services, if you backtrack and look at what you actually paid to bring a person into your funnel through Facebook advertising, it's actually really worthwhile. It's a great investment.
That's right. Well, there's that long-term sale as well, I guess. So that one of the beauties of Facebook ads is really the targeting, that you can target people so specifically of exactly who you want. People who are big on purchasing online products, people who make big business purchases, people who are already following somebody who serves your people. You can actually target your competition through Facebook ads. And the one thing with your email list is that people will, they'll come into your list and realize that you're not the right fit for them. And that's perfectly okay. And I guess what I would encourage you to do is actually celebrate the unsubscribes, because it means someone's identified that they're not a good fit, and they're not just sitting in your email list, not opening your emails and causing terrible open rates and deliverability for your emails. So actually celebrate the unsubscribes. Someone's identified that they're not the right fit, they're never going to buy from you, so that they're off your list. But you need to keep bringing those new leads in through Facebook ads, and through, as I said, with the targeting, you're actually getting the most aligned people to come through your pathway by using Facebook ads as well. So, and I guess as you're talking about with the spend side of things, if you're spending, $5 or $10, so for example, one of my client pathways at the moment, if I spend $10, I make $100 for each person that comes through, but that's only on the low end product. So this person will then continue to go through my client pathways, the the pathways that are higher up in my system and will keep buying. So what is the true value of that? Is it $10 for $100, or is it $10 and I make $1,000 or $10,000, depending on the lifetime value of that client?
That's so important. It's that looking longer term and recognizing that it's an investment in our business, and we need to invest to grow. So it's having that that longer term focus rather than just the short term spend.
Yes.
This whole conversation, Kellie, is hugely enlightening. I know how much you've changed my whole perspective of how to bring this such important part into my business. And so I know everyone listening will be getting the same sort of benefits. And of course, just a reminder, there is a brilliant summary of these steps involved in a client pathway, which is the resource for this particular episode. You go to angelarasmus.com/9 download, because if your mind is boggling from hearing all this new information, give yourself that space to actually go through that resource and see how it is that you can introduce these pathways in. And I think it's really important for us, Kellie, just to reassure people that just start with one, because we've talked about how, they go into higher pathways and deeper pathways, but that's okay. We all start with one. So let's just get that first gift, that first set of emails, that first landing page, a very enhanced thank you page, all the steps that we've talked about. And then you can introduce other layers down the road. But no overwhelm, just start with this one.
And sorry, Angie, if I can interrupt there as well, I would also encourage people to keep it super simple as far as how much they actually do. So create your free gift, go to lead pages and create that the lead page and the thank you page, and then get your welcome email written, and then leave it at that and start driving some traffic to it first and see where you need to tweak things. And then once somebody gets to your welcome email, once they actually opt in, then start mapping out or start writing the rest of the emails. I'd map out what your email sequence will look like, but at least just get the welcome email done, because if you find that nobody wants your free gift, remember that, as I said at the very, very beginning, it's not carved out in stone. You can change it. It gives you the ability to change something without having wasted a lot of time.
That's a great point. So yes, that's brilliant advice, and actually you did take me through that as well. So thank you for bringing that up. And there is so much more to this whole idea of bringing in pathways and nurturing your clients. And you offer so much value and amazing articles and blogs and insights on your own website, Kellie. So for everyone listening, what is the best ways in which we can find you in this world wide web and connect and learn more?
Sure. I guess my website is www.kellyobrien.com.au, Kellie with an IE, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/Kellie O'Brien AU, and Twitter is the same, twitter.com/Kellie O'Brien AU.
Wonderful consistency there. That's great. Well, I'll also make sure that those links are on the podcast page on my website, so that if you're driving right now and you can't write those down, just pop across to the website, angelarasmus.com, and we will find all of those different links for Kellie and other great resources that she's talked about today as well, the links out to lead pages and spots like that. Kellie, thank you for baring your brain for us today and really letting us dig down into what these soulful client pathways are about. And in particular, anyone that was feeling a bit ick about the idea of funneling people into their business, we need to attract and resonate with people and introduce them to what we're doing, because that's the only way that we can have the impact and make the change for other people that we're here to do. But with your guidance, we can make that whole experience feel extremely wholehearted, very soulful, and end up with a happy ending in the storytelling for both sides of the coin. So thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us today.
Oh, thanks so much for the opportunity, Ange. As you know, I'm very excited to talk about this, and if anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to go to Facebook and leave a question there, and I'll answer it. That's not a problem at all. But thank you so much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed this.
It's a great conversation, isn't it? We could talk for hours, but this is a great spot for us to close it, so that people can go and start taking action. Because listening is fantastic, getting the inspiration is awesome, but it's taking the action where you're going to see the changes in your business. So for everyone listening today, thank you for investing your time and your energy in listening to the Next Chapter podcast. There is so much goodness that is coming for you to be able to incorporate into your business, and I appreciate you taking the time to single out this podcast and listen to. So thanks so much for spending your time, and I look forward to talking to you again on the next episode. And until then, this is Angela Raspis. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Your Next Chapter podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Pop over to angelaraspis.com to subscribe to the show and leave a review. And whilst you're there, you can also enjoy valuable free resources, including show notes and downloads, along with the Next Chapter community, where you can connect with other wholehearted women on the same journey as you. We'd love to welcome and support you as your next chapter unfolds. See you next time.